Cavin Elizabeth, a wedding photographer based in San Diego. Today I'm going to do a video about the top things that you should not say to wedding vendors. And if you've said these things, don't feel bad, but don't say them again. So I'm going to just start with the ones that I kind of get most often, and then I'll include a couple other ones, whether they're things that I've heard people say to vendors that I know or whether they've been said to me. The first one is can you change your photos to make them darker? Don't ask somebody to change their style. If you aren't 100% happy with somebody's style, whether it's their flowers, so asking them, oh, can you do them tighter? You usually do them more organic. Find somebody who does what you're looking for. Do not hire somebody and then ask them to do it differently. Just find the person who does what you're wanting in the first place. So vendors, there's so many of them, and I would say that you could find somebody for every single style. For florists, for example, you can find a florist who does really traditional, tight, ball-shaped arrangements. You can find somebody who does kind of slightly in between, so it's more flower heavy, but it's still a little bit loose. It's not tight and wrapped with a tight ribbon. You can find somebody who's kind of organic. Then you can find somebody who's really organic, whose arrangements look like you literally just gathered them out of the field and held them together. So you can find somebody who does everything that you're looking for. And I would say just don't ask somebody to change their style, because you're never going to be happy with their work. And most likely they're not going to change their style. They're going to try to send you elsewhere, which they should do, because everybody wants the couples to be happy and we want to be happy with what we're producing. The second one is if you are emailing several vendors, make sure that when you're copying and pasting your template that you change it up a bit. So I don't want to receive an email that says, "Hi Julie, we love your work." I'm like, who's Julie? That's not me. So I've had that happen once or twice before over the past 5-6 years. And I know that couples are looking at other photographers, but it still kind of sucks when somebody is like, oh, completely not your name. We love your work. We're obsessed with it, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, yeah, they clearly sent the same thing to everybody. Didn't bother to change the name. So make sure you're changing it up a bit. Be specific. Also, another kind of tie into this is I would say, don't tell somebody you're obsessed with their work and that they're your dream vendor when they're really not. I've had some people say that to me and then never respond back to my emails that I send them. And I'm like, what the heck? I thought it was their dream photographer. And I have other friends who this has happened to as well. And we're like, why would you say that? If I had a dream photographer, if I was going to email them, that's probably the only person I'm going to email. If they're literally my dream photographer that I am obsessed with and want to work with, I'm going to say those things to them and only them. And then I'm just going to hire them unless they're quadruple my budget and I can't make it work. So I'm only going to reserve words like that for the person that I really want. Now, it's another thing to say we really love your work. We love how light, bright, and airy and timeless and romantic it is. That's completely different than saying that you are their dream photographer. We're obsessed with you, that sort of thing. So that's really strong language. So I would make sure to be realistic in the way that you're talking and not overhype it if you're not dead set on that person, because it is a little bit misleading. It's also, when somebody tells you that you're their favorite person in the world and then they don't have anything to do with you after, you're like, what? I thought I was the favorite. So it's just kind of something small and silly, but I just say make sure your words are realistic. Another thing not to say, and this is something that has been said to me a couple of times, is we talk to ABC Photography down the road, and they have the same package as you for $2,000 cheaper. Can you match it? No, I can't match it. Absolutely not. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to just match because someone else down the road is cheaper. That's not how I work. I don't play games with my prices. My prices stay the same. They are never discounted because I want to make sure that I'm being fair to my value and also fair to my other couples. If I had one couple who found out that another couple booked after them and got a cheaper price because it was discounted, they would be upset, understandably. So for me, I have to be fair. But going off of that, can you match this other person? That's not really fair to ask somebody because their work is probably totally different. I would say every single time that I've had a couple say so-and-so down the road and they tell me who that person is and I go check out their work, I can very clearly, objectively see that their work is not nearly as good as mine, pretty much 9 times out of 10. Now, sometimes couples would turn me down and they'll say, oh, we went with so-and-so. And I'm like, yeah, they're totally better than me. Like, I would love them too. But I often find that when people are asking me to match a cheaper photographer's prices, that photographer is clearly less expensive for a reason. They have less experience, their posing is not as good, their editing is not as clean, just so many things that go into it. So I would not play that game. Do not ask somebody to match someone else's prices because their work is completely different. Their overhead is different. Their value is different. Their experience is different. Their style is different. It is not fair to ask somebody to go cheaper because someone else is cheaper. There's always going to be someone cheaper and more expensive. So just don't say that. Going off of that, I don't think I've done a video on the right way to discount. I think I've done a blog on it, which I will put down below, or really the right way to negotiate. I don't consider negotiating to say, and this is what you should not say, hey, can we just have your $5,000 8-hour collection for $4,500 just because we want to be lower in cost? That's not something to ask. That is not negotiating, and I will never say yes to that. I don't discount my prices like I've mentioned. Now, the proper way to negotiate is to say, hey, our budget is $45, but your package is $5. Is there anything we can take out, like a half hour or an hour or just whatever? Like, is there something we can do to get down, or can you work with us? That is the right way to negotiate. And if they can't give you something that you're looking for at a price that they're comfortable with and you're comfortable with, you either need to raise your budget or simply find somebody else who is in your budget. Don't just ask people to take off money just because you can't or don't want to pay it. I'm sure that if your boss asked you to work the same amount of hours for less money, you would say no, because that's not fair, and that's what you would be asking us to do. We work really hard. My team is not going to take a discount. My editor is not going to take a discount. My albums aren't going to discount for me, so I can't discount, and it's not fair to me because I put so much time and effort. I've put a lot of energy into building my business, improving over the years, so I am not going to discount for somebody just because they don't want to pay me what I am worth. On that note of pricing, one thing that you should not say to any vendor is that their prices are outrageous. I think that it's one thing to say, I'm sorry, you're too far out of our budget or you're too expensive for us. That's fine. That's a very sort of objective way of saying that their prices are too high for you. But to just tell somebody their prices are outrageous is honestly insulting their artistry and their experience. So do not say that. Even if somebody costs $20,000 for photography and you think that's outrageous, don't tell them that, because there are plenty of couples booking those $20,000 photographers and they get fully booked in the year. So while I don't have the budget to spend 20 grand on a photographer, somebody else does. And I'm never gonna tell that $20,000 photographer their prices are outrageous, because I would love to cost that much someday. I would love to be so like in demand and famous in a way and have earned my way to that place that I could be charging that much and offering a lot more services, traveling the world. So I would never say somebody their price is outrageous, because they are an artist. They set their business the way they do, and they usually get fully booked. So people are paying them. It's just not nice. You can find another way to tell them that they're too out of your price range rather than insulting them and saying that their prices are outrageous. Now, this next one is something that is kind of different because it's something that you do want to say, and what you don't want to say is basically omitting the word wedding. There are a lot of websites and brides and grooms online who will tell you to not tell your vendors that it's a wedding. That would never work with photography. I would show up and it would clearly be a wedding. That's not something that would fly. And if a client did not tell me it was a wedding, and so I prepared for like some event or family reunion, I would not be prepared for a wedding because I wouldn't have certain details that I need about the day. I just wouldn't know the timeline. I wouldn't know what's going on. I would not feel comfortable, and I would be very upset because ultimately the client is who is going to suffer as a result of not being forthcoming about the event. Now, I have heard this happen with cake bakers and other vendors. There are some vendors that it does not matter what it's for, but for something like your hair and makeup, a lot of people say, oh, don't tell them it's a wedding, they're automatically going to charge you more. And I'm going to have a video coming up with a hair and makeup artist who's going to explain more about why wedding makeup does cost more, because there are legitimate reasons for it. So I would say don't omit the word wedding. You're going to want to know that your vendors know that it is a wedding, because that is the only way they're going to be prepared for many of the vendor categories. Like your planner, they have to know. Your photographer has to know. It'd be really great if your DJ knows. Like, these people are going to know, they're going to find out. You need to be forthcoming with them, because you are the one who's going to lose out if you do not tell them what the event really is, because a wedding is very different from other events. There are things that happen, there's a ceremony, there's things to be prepared for, there's toasts, there's dances, all these types of things that make up a traditional wedding or a somewhat traditional wedding. Those are things that we need to prepare for. So if you tell us that it's just a plain event, we're not going to know that it's a wedding, and we're not going to be prepared. Maybe we didn't bring enough team members. Maybe we didn't know when things are happening and we miss it. So there's all sorts of issues that you can run into by not being forthcoming. So don't say to a vendor that it's not a wedding. Don't admit that it's not a wedding. Just tell them what it is, and you're going to get a better service and you're going to get a better product from being honest about it. Now, the last thing I'll say that you shouldn't say to a vendor is, can you copy all these things? Whether it's a florist, you're asking to completely copy something, or your photographer, can you copy these 50 photos from our shot list? Don't say those things, because again, that indicates that you're not really in love with the person's style. You just want them to do something different. Well, I would say find somebody who does what you want to do. If you want to just have a photographer who will copy every single photo for you, I recommend going with somebody who has never shot a wedding before, because they're the only people who need a shot list to kind of make sure that they're capturing different elements of the wedding day. I don't like working from shot lists, and I won't do them, because if I'm reading from a list all day, I cannot be capturing the moments around me, and my work would change dramatically, and then couples would just end up with copies of other things instead of unique and original and organic images. If you are asking somebody to copy, don't be upset when they say, like, I'm sorry, we have to have some sort of creative freedom. Now, this isn't the same thing as saying we want these sorts of flowers and these colors, like we think that would be really great. This is saying, can you exactly recreate this item or this photo or this service? That is not something that a lot of vendors are comfortable with, because it takes away all of their artistry, and they might not be able to copy it exactly for a number of reasons. The flowers might not be in season, or they might be too expensive for your budget, or maybe the moment isn't going to work with your venue, or whatever it may be. These things cannot that easily be done. So a lot of artists and vendors aren't going to be comfortable guaranteeing that they can do anything for the day that copies what you're looking for to a T. So just find somebody who does do what you want. Don't ask, again, it's kind of like changing your style. Don't ask somebody to copy a bunch of things for you to the T, because it's never going to be unique. It's never going to feel like you. It's just going to feel like a carbon copy of other people's wedding items and services. So that's something I recommend not saying to vendors, is to ask them to copy things. So I hope you guys have found this video interesting. Again, like, these aren't necessarily bad things to say for the most part. I just really recommend not saying them. A lot of these show that the couple isn't really that in love with the person's work, or that they don't respect their value. So that's where a lot of this comes down to, is what you want and what you value, and you need to find somebody who offers both of those for you at a place where you're comfortable. So just ask people who is going to be a good fit for you. If you find somebody who you like but it's not perfect, say, do you know anybody who does do work that I'm looking for? So again, that's something that goes with value and with worth and their artistry. You should make sure that you love these people and you trust them, and don't say things that might be a little bit rude or that might indicate that you don't actually really like their style. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please be sure to leave a like and comment down below if you have any future video ideas or just want to say hey. Bye!